Hey guys, welcome back to ESL TV for the ESL. You say hey?
I just went hey. You go. Sorry.
Okay, for the ESL One Battlefield 4 Fall Season Group Stages, we already had our first two games underway, or actually already happened. We had Epsilon take the win over Animate, and of course Elevate took the win over PKD. And now, of course, we're going to be going into Epsilon versus Elevate. And of course, the maps we'll be having for this one, what a surprise. Operation Locker, Zavod, and Dawnbreaker.
Yeah, we seem to be avoiding these two new maps yet again. The only map we haven't seen so far has been Paracel Storm, but that was kind of a niche pick prior to the changes anyway. So seeing these maps constantly, well, I'll say constantly, we've casted 2 games so far in this group, but I don't see that changing too often. I think all these teams are still very scared of these new maps, and we'll see where we go. As we're going to be jumping into game, we are going to be live, and we do see Elevate on the left-hand side of your screen, and on the right, we do see Epsilon. So jumping into this one, we see Lags has made a push for the C flag already. Let's see what he's got for us. Whoa, looking for the pick. I thought he got it there. Lags are trying to connect a bullet. Can't seem to make it work. As right now we do have that BC hold emerging for Elevate. Jason, right now, what's the damage? What's the way to deal with this BC hold? Because we've seen teams hold on to this for the duration of a game. It can be tough to come back from. But right now, what can Epsilon do?
Well, what they can do is capture a flag. Now, the thing is they have to make their choice of what flag it will be. Do they want to hit C? Do they want to hit B? Typically, C will always be lighter on defense, but if you can get the B flag, it's more valuable to you to hold on to than the C flag. So it's kind of a toss-up of where you feel more confident. And right now, as we can see, C and A going to be picked up here by Epsilon. And just to introduce the lineups for you guys for Epsilon side, since we haven't seen them yet today, we have David, Marsu, Mayak, Horik, and Duke. Of course, Asterix no longer on the team, I believe, and Mayak, who was very questionable coming back to the first season, wasn't able to play in the offline finals. And they actually brought him back in. So they were playing the group stages. They were losing, and they brought Mick back for the group stage just because they didn't want to get knocked out. And well, unfortunately, they've been having a very rough patch when it comes to the offline playoffs. For some reason, with issues with them, it always crashes the server or something like that. But either way, we're doing a good job here so far. Maintaining C, maintaining A, and even applying pressure at this B flag in the meantime.
So, I mean, I was sat there thinking this could be a rough ride for Epsilon. Right now, they've managed to stave it off. Managed to get the AC hold. It works for them. You know, Mayak is going to be the patient player waiting in wait outside the C site. Right now, though, Lags has set his sights elsewhere, looking to actually go the long way around towards this A site. There's no one there, so he's just wasting his own time. But obviously, this B flag has a swarm of US players for the Elevate side coming around. They want to keep hold of this one, obviously fighting to just keep what they have at the moment. Very aggressive defense, kind of an offensive defense from Epsilon. They know that if they can keep Elevate contained, they don't have to be too concerned about these mid corridors. Right now, the Kryzer has made a push out and immediately put in his place by Mayak. That is a vital frag if they want to keep this momentum up. Right now, we're going to see a change of hands. We're going to see B and A swap over, unless, of course, Malcolm has something to say about it, as he has got a random respawn right by that B flag.
Lagser took forever to attack that flag. He was sitting in this alleyway for a ridiculous amount of time, and then once he saw B was being capped over, it still took about 5 seconds to finally move off and attack that flag. Yeah, he did pick it up, and it looks like things go back to exactly the way they were before the caps even happened, with A and C maintained by Epsilon, and B the only flag in the hands of Elevate. But I don't know. As you can see, it's already, what, a 20-ticket lead in favor here of Epsilon. They are looking like the much stronger team. They seem to have the perfect read on Elevate. Obviously, had a chance to watch them play a little bit earlier on since they finished the game a little bit quicker. But, of course, they didn't see them on Locker, but they are kind of just manhandling them at this point.
It certainly seems to be the case. Right now, though, I credit to Mayak, as I was going to jump over to him. He does actually go down, but Mayak has been holding supremely well over this kind of C flag, maybe pushing in towards his mid-corridor. He hasn't limited himself, but right now we do see an AC hold developing yet again for Epsilon, and I want to see what Tofi and his team can do in response to this. Not going to happen. Shut down in that deathly corridor. It can be such a tough assault to make, and Zam looking to not stumble where his teammates have. Charging around the corner for the hipfire connects, and he's going to continue this push straight on towards A. And he's not. He's going to pull a Lagser straight away, going for this long, boring walk around. David's going to, by that time, have rotated back around. And actually, Zam, looking the wrong way around. He's going to go down. Foolish play from him. And right now, the AC hold.
He wanted to attack the C flag, actually, because he has this one man towards middle. It's actually Lagser, who's just kind of chilling there. He's actually going to be spotted out, I believe, from behind. And from that, he wanted to hit from the other side and kind of just pincer them in, open up that C flag. And as you can see, the map definitely shining bright right now, as you would say.
Like a diamond.
But still, C and B maintained every time. It looks like Epsilon just have the read on them. They're going to get hold of 2-1s. And yeah, B's being captured right now. As you can see, Lags are sitting behind this concrete mass right here. But he gets taken down. And, you know, Elevate, they seem to just be struggling for an answer. They seem to be struggling for some sort of way to stop Epsilon from picking up these 2-1s. It's not as easy for them as it was against PKD.
It certainly seems the case. And right now, credit to Epsilon, they really do not have any trouble being flexible. Right now, they're just letting Elevate. Okay, Elevate, that's right. You take what you want, and we will simply adapt around you. We're talking about the best teams being the best at adapting. And Jason, you're absolutely spot on, because you look at Epsilon, and right now they are gymnast flexible. They know what they need. They know what sites they want, but they're not going to fight unwinnable battles to get them. Right now we're seeing a bit of a standoff. Horek up against Tofi. I think he's actually going to back up. Wise move from Horek, and that's a prime example of that flexibility. He's actually going to have to make a move because Lags has made a move on towards B himself. There's going to be a dance around this site. Lags is throwing a nade, one coming towards him as well as Horek comes charging around. It looks to be a 1-for-1, and Mayak actually nading Horek in the process, taking a teammate down with him. But the AC hold prevails, and Elevate finally start looking to elevate their ticket to deficit.
Well, right now, I mean, one thing Epsilon did do was they defended the push onto the B flag, and now they're going to take turns. Like it's like one team attacks and one team defends every single time, and then they switch things up right after they do obviously are successful in doing what they want. They're going to pick up C here, as they actually had a nice 2-piece come in for, I believe it was David. He's going to pick up the C B hold. And now the A flag kind of still a little bit lonely here. We're seeing very little blue on the map at any given time. We see a 30-ticket deficit to them, and Epsilon are just doing a fantastic job here so far. It's not as clean of a game as I maybe would have expected, as Elevate are still, you know, every once in a while throwing some kinks into this machine that is Epsilon, but they're still not coming out with any real victories.
Yeah, and it has to be mentioned, Lockup was selected by Elevate. Elevate chose to play this map. Admittedly, that may be because Epsilon chose to play Zavod, which was previously Elevate's choice. But right now, they chose to play Lockup over Paracel or any of the new maps. And maybe they're going to be regretting their decision, because right now, Epsilon are in control. Looking at Lagza, though. He looks to be pushing on towards this A site. I don't know. He's kind of caught in a limbo between A and B, and he can't really make anything of it right now. And that's just the pressure that Elevate currently have on him. Sorry, Epsilon have on him, as he does go falling, tumbling to yet another death. Credit to Mayak, though. Sat on 12-5. The man has been at the top of the scoreboard in terms of frags since first minute of the game.
You know, if you're going to play against a team like Epsilon, you have to go for something ballsy. You know?
Something
Don't
unusual.
ban out the new
100%.
maps. Don't ban out the new maps. You know what? That's your probably best chance to beat one of these top teams. Epsilon have been in the playoffs every single time and every single season. And Elevate, who, you know, were only able to make it through into the last one, why not go for something ballsy? Why not go for something big? I mean, even if you do lose this one, you still have another chance against PKD, who you already beat before, or Animate, who just got slaughtered by Epsilon.
You're right. You are playing into Epsilon's hands by avoiding these new maps, by avoiding these wild cards. When you are perhaps a wild card yourself, I'd describe Elevate as exactly that. You really want to have the element of surprise. And we do see the emerging trip cap. That might be a bit of a surprise for the Elevate side. It's a near squad wipe as well, and Epsilon are just going to start rubbing it into their faces as the remaining tickets start ticking away. And it's going to be the biggest ticket advantage we have seen so far tonight. Around that 80 ticket advantage in the hands of Epsilon. And you're absolutely spot on, Jason. I'm going to just extend from that point you were saying just how important it is to have a bit of a backup plan, some way to surprise Epsilon. They knew going into this game, Elevate knew how good Epsilon are. They've faced them before. They know that they're probably not that likely to destroy, as perhaps Zam did for Elevate.
Look at the scoreboards. That's... What?
It's topsy-turvy.
18-12 for Zam. No one else got above 10 kills on his side. But then Epsilon, who's 9-8, obviously defending quite a few times there and even attacking a couple of them. But Horek 17-6, Mayak 15-5. I mean, Mayak was leading for the majority of it, but then to Horek just to really step up like that, it just
well,
ridiculous.
Horek's one of those players who will just get frags without you realizing. He's always on the move. And so those frags can kind of just slip in without really knowing that it's happening.
It's just so weird to see the anchor rule of the team have... I mean, it's not weird because it's obviously kind of expected, but the anchor rule to have the highest score, because Marsu's the man who's going to sit back and defend these flags, but just to have that big of a kill discrepancy on the side of Elevate, like, no one broke 10 kills except that one man, and he broke it with style.
Yeah, it makes me think perhaps there was a miscommunication, because when you're on a team like that and one player suddenly shining, it's like he's got a game plan. That game plan may very well be completely opposite to anything that they said prior to the game. I know that's happened before, where one player's been like, I thought we're not holding A and C. No, we're not doing that.
No, I'm baiting you.
Yeah, and it just gets messy. He does get the kills, but obviously, that means very little in terms of competitive Battlefield. It's all about that team communication. It's all about that flexibility and pushing for the sites. And Zam, albeit did well on the scoreboard, didn't do so well in terms of his team with an 80 ticket deficit. That is a tough quota for them to meet in the second half of map number 1. And obviously you have to consider Zavod is going to be map number 2. We know how good Epsilon are on that one. So really is going to be a tough call for Elevate here.
Oh, here we go, kicking off the second half here. Obviously swapping sides. We'll have Epsilon on the US side, Elevate on the Russian side. And I honestly, I don't expect Elevate to really be able to pull this one off. 80 tickets is huge. If anything, they need to look forward to the next map. They have to look ahead onto Zavod to see exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's gonna be a challenge. As we're going to see what on earth they have to bring. I mean, 80 tickets, it's going to have to be something special. It's going to have to be the surprise that you were talking about perhaps in the first half. It's not going to be coming in just yet, though, as Lagza has gone so very fast towards these corridors, gets the pick he needs to. Marsu goes falling down to an early grave, and now Lagza on the prowl around. We'll see where this gets them. Lagza back around. This is great positioning from him. He's going to put Duke to bed as well. He's roamed around securing this B flag. I think that's going to be a bit of a surprise for Epsilon. I said they needed to do it, and they have. They've got that AB hold, and we'll see what Mayek can do to stop this. Absolutely nothing. He goes down as well, and with 147, they're starting to emerge already. Epsilon, it's a big, big issue for Elevate, and Epsilon, they're not going to be phased too badly by this strong start.
And look at this hold they're doing. I mean, C is completely open right now. Looks like they will eventually get wiped out towards the flag, though, as you can see, over towards B. It will be turned hands over to Epsilon, and they will maintain the BC hold. And, the lead that Elevate had is gone, 142 to 137. And remember, 80 tickets is that threshold. If we see Elevate drop below that 80 ticket mark, then we'll have lost out on this first map. And right now, they need to come out big. And look at this, they're going to get tri-capped even. I mean, it's kind of at the point of the game anyways, when you're down 80, that you have to go for something huge in the beginning. So just the fact that he did lose doesn't really, or they're really losing out on this one, really isn't meaning too much.
Yeah, I mean, Elevate, the fact that they're throwing this, or not throwing this away, that's a nasty way of describing it. The fact that they're struggling to really put any of their plans, any of their game plans into action suggests perhaps, they're losing out on the core mechanics, the core basics. One of the main things you have to consider is they're going for the frags. They're not getting the early frags. They're not getting the picks that they need to. On this B site. So, when they're pushing on towards these sites and they're not getting the easy frags, they're not going to start getting the easy flags.
That's well put, well put. Well, right now, I mean, Elevate, obviously looking forward to the next map here. We do have Tofi at 4-1, so, I mean, it isn't over for them completely. But I also don't want to kind of build up something that can't really be there. I mean, they have 20 tickets left to work. Actually, yeah, 20 tickets left to work with pretty much. I don't want to lie to you and say, yeah, they can come back. I mean, they obviously can, but the chances is slimmer than 1%, pretty much.
Well, their chances are diminishing rapidly as Elevate are struggling to put anything on the board. I mean, just a very sturdy AB hold right now would be a little bit of hope, a glimmer in my eye saying this is Elevate's time. We're seeing a player leaving already for Elevate. They know with only 20 tickets remaining, it's not going to go too well. You see, I'm shaking my head. I think probably the remaining Elevate players are as well. It's not looking too favorable for them in this first map. I think maybe we're going to be jumping, just setting our sights on map number 2, which we know Elevate did well on before they played against Planet Key Dynamics. They did end up with a 10-ticket lead in the first half. However, you have to consider that was Planet Key Dynamics.
It's bad enough they're losing, but to have Malcolm disconnect again, when he disconnected in the first map against Planet Key,
it's true.
That's a little unfortunate for them, and obviously it won't really matter anymore at this point, as we have 6 tickets left to go here as Epsilon are able to secure this B flag back yet again in their hands. So, first map down, Epsilon, it's seeming like maybe an easy 4-0 for them. Four map wins and they're through. Having an early night for themselves. And I mean, I want to see Elevate do a little bit more. I want to see them really kind of step up and just kind of get to that next level. But, one thing I do to point out, Pyrogen back in the first season were silent every single cup. They come into the groups, not an extremely hard group for them, but they pull it through. They come out with the victories. They get into the offline finals. And then they just roll over everyone in actually placing second throughout the whole thing, losing to Meteor Makers there. we can see teams, with that 2-week period you have after the group stage to really kind of focus, to really kind of figure out exactly what to do coming into the next games. You have time to review some demos or some VODs at least from the games we've casted. I feel like if they do get through, they can still be a big contender. I mean, they might be losing Epsilon really bad right now, but they could still beat them in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. I think you're right. That 2-week period is such a key one. That's when we're talking about these new maps, saying we're not seeing them, that's when we would start to see them. That's when these teams have a little bit of extra time, a little bit of breathing room, but you've got to get there first. And Elevate, they've got to get through these games. It's going to be a hard graph. Going into Zavod now as well, I expect to see Epsilon really run through this one. However, I've been, proved wrong in the past, proved wrong more times than I'd like to admit when I kind of rule a team out. But I mean, that's what makes this game so exciting. We know that Elevate have it within them. We also know that Epsilon are looking pretty on form. I thought they were going to be a bit shaky after having such an easy game up against Animate. But no, they've come in fighting. They know what they need to do. They're very much a game plan focused team. They know how that. I know we'd say that it can be tough not to have that flexibility, but Epsilon, they go in with a very clear, open game plan where they're like, okay, we're going to push in here. We know what we need to do, and they know that they need to listen to their shot caller. They're very much set in their ways with that, and it works. It really does.
All right. Well, it looks like Malcolm has come back, so it looks like we won't actually even need to go to break it all here. He's just reconnecting back to the server. But Zavod, so let's talk about Zavod a little bit. Let's do that.
Yeah,
with
game.
the big old Z.
Okay.
So we saw Elevate. Wow, my voice just cracked right there.
No.
That's the first time in a long time, actually. Yes, fine. I'm getting old enough for it to stop. B and C was kind of the two flags they would hold on to, and they would kind of sit one man back at B, and the rest were kind of they had 2 men towards C, 1 man watching the underpass, and 1 man out towards the right side watching a flank from A. So they had their desired setup. They held for quite a long time against PKD. But then again, once that got broken, they struggled to get anything back. And Epsilon has shown already that they can maintain a 2-1, but more importantly, they can easily break your 2-1 and kind of punish you for that. So I'm worried if Elevate can get the 2v1, can they maintain it? If they don't, can they kind of catch themselves back up? Can they kind of get back to, all right, this is what we need to do, hit this, get these kills, and we can finally take a 2-1 back. Like, that's so tough to do when you're playing reactively instead of proactively.
Yeah, well, when you're against Horek, this is the team, whenever
Good point.
Whenever I hear that name, the first map that comes to mind is Zavod. Zavod was the map where I first discovered this player for Epsilon. He's just this horrible, real irritating player to play against. No,
whoa.
If you were in Elevate shoes right now, you would be nodding your head like this is horrible, because when you play against Horek, he is always going to be behind enemy lines. That A site will constantly be a threat. Even if Horek's even dead, that random respawn will just be gifted to him by these battlefield gods, and he will be back on that A flag. And that's what you were saying, Yeah, exactly. The BFG, big friendly giant. Love that.
I was going to say the battlefield gods.
Yeah, I know. I was just
or the Doom version.
Moving away from the battlefield gods, let's talk about the dangers that lie within this Horek / dangerous Marsu Mayek picky Epsilon defense. Because we were talking about this mids. You're saying they have to play proactively instead of reactively, and I know that right now Epsilon are very good at this reactive play. I've said that time and time again. And Elevate, they're not the team. I can't see that other than if Lagza does this credible step up again. I don't think we're going to be able to see them stepping up to this horrible split. You're going to see Horek constantly at A. They're Epsilon confident enough in their 1v1s, I'd say. I think you'll probably agree with me that they're not too worried about missing out on these 1v1s. They're probably confident that they can win them.
Yeah, if not 1v2s right now.
Yeah, exactly. So we may very well see a different Epsilon play where we're going to see a lot of split-up players. Sometimes we see a contained unit, but I think we're going to see a spread-out Epsilon just rubbing it and rubbing it in is what I meant to say, and seeing how quickly they can get that trip cap.
Well, unfortunately, we won't get to see it for a couple of minutes, so we're going to have to go to a quick little break yet again. It seems like Malcolm is taking a little bit longer than expected. So hopefully it's only going to take about 5 minutes, then we can get back underway with Zavod here. But, again, look at the end of the first map. Any prediction for this one? If I were to give you my prediction, I feel like Epsilon looking at 60 ticket lead at least out of the first half.
Yeah, I think we're going to see probably above 60s. I think this looking pretty good for Epsilon at the moment. We're looking for a 4-0 sweep. And it's going to be very strong for them, obviously top of their group, and so not that many surprises just yet. But I'm hoping, I'd like to cross my fingers to the underdog story of Elevate. So we'll see where it's going, guys. We'll be back in 5.
All right, guys, welcome back here. It looks like all the problems have been sorted. Malcolm has gotten back in the server, and we're going to get underway here with our first half of our second map of our second game in Group A of the fall season of ESL One Battle 4. I've gotten so damn good at this.
He is. You just see his eyes go back when he's thinking, second map, second half, first half of the second half of the... You rattle it off. It's fantastic.
I've gotten used to just being able to start talking, and it just comes out.
It just comes out. Fantastic. Right, so we're going to be going into the second half.
What's wrong? What's so funny about
second
that?
half of Zavod. Oh, sorry, the first half of Zavod, second half of this game. And it's one of those ones where we were kind of speculating, saying that it's only going to be going in Epsilon's favor. We do have, of course, was it Malcolm? Yeah, Malcolm back with us after his issues with his connections. Over on the left-hand side of your screen, though, you will be seeing the Epsilon side, and on the right, Elevate. We did do a roster rundown, but just to highlight those players you want to keep an eye on, you have to keep your eye on Horek. It's worth keeping your eye on David as well for the Epsilon side, as he does have that engineer class. So I can only assume he's going to see some early destruction from him. And over on the Elevate side, keep your eyes on that Lagza. For some reason, this man really did shine very brightly here on Zavod last time, and we'll see if he can do it yet again. So let's jump on in. Jason, break it down.
I'm sorry, I can't see with them shining so bright in this game, you know? We do have a 3-man push out of Elevate over towards the B flag here. 2-man out of Epsilon with 2 men actually going to be watching the mid area here for them. And it looks like they will pick up A very easily. And they will have a 2-man squad working towards C in the meantime here. And I hate to say it, we could potentially see a tri-cap here right off the bat. There's a big standoff at the B flag, and you're even seeing Epsilon have full control of that middle area. And look at this. I mean, finally, the tension does break. We finally will have a kill come in here for Elevate, but they're not capping the flag just yet. They're still taking their time. And they're not going to finally start to break through here towards this B flag. But Epsilon just seems like they're just kind of waiting for their moment to strike. Like, yeah, they've left 2 men at B. Like, they realized B was going to be attacked. They left 2 only there. And they had 2 left at C to kind of attack right when B was being taken because they knew how many men Elevate would commit for that. So they have the A and B hold. And Epsilon, again, looking as strong as ever.
Fantastically kind of clinical start. We do see that A-B hold coming out. I don't think it's going to last too long. We do see Lagza and Zam spawning in for Elevate on that A flag. And immediately we're going to jump on with Lagza because he may very well be looking to question the integrity of C, diving into the depths as he's going to pick up one already. So swift with his aim. Manages to take down Marsu in a very short space of time. The frag from Zam actually putting him to bed. He's not going to be happy with that. One bit of rage on TS. And when you're really struggling already, team kills are really just salt into the wound. Looking at Mayek as well, as he's now going to be setting up to defend on this C flag. Let's jump in, though, as there are 4 players from Elevate in this underground passage. Let's see how this push on towards C works out, because it needs to happen now. Right now, tickets falling away from them from underneath Elevate. They're sat already at about 30, almost 40 ticket deficit, and it needs to change fast. And I don't think Epsilon are going to be willing to move easily.
They're able to just pretty much buckle down and hold on to this. Like you said, 4 men pushing towards C. They have 2 men there that are just maintaining this the entire time. And well, there's 1 man more towards the A flag, and I don't even need to look at who it is on the screen. I know that's going to be Horek.
That's the one.
He's applying pressure. It looks like they will lose out on C, but with him back capping, he's going to pull at least 1 or 2 men back towards A. He's going to get a couple of respawns back on top of them, and he's always quick to not run. Like, he's not a coward to, just sit there and try to fight it out at C, but he's strategically playing. Like, he knows that he's probably going to lose C with his team, so he's got to run back. He's got to pick up another flag to kind of punish them for committing so many men towards a single flag. And then you look in the long run, with the other team knowing that he's going to go for the flanks like that, they have to keep 1 man back. And then when they're a man short attacking the flag that they're already struggling to take, it'll be even harder for him. So it's a really big mind game he likes to play with them. And look at that. A and C going to be picked up and maintained. And Elevate are just committing too many men every single time to picking up one of these flags.
Yeah, they're bringing kind of as much as they can to every single site they push. They're not playing the numbers game well, though, as already we're seeing over 50 tickets slipping away from Elevate. They're looking pretty weak at the knees at the moment. Epsilon just seem very sturdy, set in their ways. They don't need to change too much right now. They've just got their game plan, and they're sticking to it. And, when it works, it works. Elevate, everything they seem to be trying to respond. They're trying different things. Right now, they're trying this kind of split and pick. They're sending 2 or... Oh, actually, no, they're sending 4 players towards this B. So we'll see how this works out. Overstacking their numbers. Perhaps it's going to be like a last-ditch attempt to snatch that 2 hold from them. They managed to do it. They managed to relinquish that B site from Epsilon's hands. We'll see how long it lasts, though, as Elevate have already lost 3 players. 2 remain Lagza one of them, as he's already still sat on 7 for 3. The guy, no matter what, is picking up the frags. He just walks alone into C.
Look at this. They have a two-man squad pushing C out of Epsilon. They're going to pick it up here. In the meantime, they have back spawns coming in towards B, so they're going to pick B up too. Like, yeah, they might lose on A now, but they're going to pick up a favorable BC hold if they can maintain this. But well, it looks like they will lose out in the fight on C, and at least Elevate able to fight back here when they really needed to at this point. 133 to 72 tickets, and it's starting to get really troublesome for them to potentially take this lead down coming to the second half.
Yeah, and it's not great for Elevate. When they've got the pressure of already losing the first map, you cannot afford to go this much of a deficit so early. I mean, we're 4 minutes in, and already it looks like Elevate are throwing this one away. Or perhaps maybe it's just Epsilon are putting so much pressure on them that they are just crumbling. They do have the BC hold, though. Let's see how long that lasts, especially with that presence of David. You cannot forget this man has been lying in wait, hasn't made his whereabouts known just yet, and instead playing the waiting game. When you have that cushion, that slight advantage from the tickets earlier, they can take their time with this one, and we do see him slipping back in to cap this one and perhaps down the hip far on towards Tofi. It's Tofi's the only man standing. Oh, and he's thrown it away. That could actually cost Epsilon, as now the BC hold is going to last for a little longer than ideal. You do see David and Mek spawning in now, finally off those timers, and now the numbers start to settle back for Epsilon, but with a BC hold, it's going to start coming back for Elevate.
All right, so we've seen them hold this BC flag so damn well so many times. But now they need to maintain it against, honestly, and not to be offensive, a much better team than PKD, at least in terms of standings alone. The Epsilon finishing second of the season, PKD finishing 6th. But we will have the C flag still under contest. And Epsilon taking the time. They realize they have a big lead. Like, they're not in a big hurry here. There's actually all 5 men committed towards the C flag here. Horik, is he even alive to go for the rotate? He's actually dead right now, so he's unfortunately not able to go for a back cap onto B. But Epsilon, they're backing away. They're kind of just playing it from afar, waiting for their men to get back alive. And they kind of hit it when they have that man advantage.
Yeah, you do see that. That BC hold is lasting dangerous amounts of time right now. Epsilon don't want to rest on their laurels. They need to get back on the horse. And right now they're not pushing towards... I think this C push would make a lot of sense, as David does get yet another frag with the AEK. This could be the one. He needs to wait for his teammates to spawn in on him. Meg's going to be the man to do just that, I can only assume, as they're still edging around the C flag. That AB hold has come back towards Epsilon, so instead, David, what was once an assault, is now just a containment procedure. All he's doing is trying to keep them in C, keep them from leaving, and Duke has picked up where he left off, getting the frags he needs to, and that AC hold is surely going to be questioned by Malcolm here.
And keep in mind, Epsilon had about a 60-ticket lead, and that dropped to about 20 before they finally were able to pick up a 2-for-1 back on their hands here, as we do have A going to be maintained for a little bit longer here out of Epsilon. It looks like this 3-man push out of Elevate is going to be shut down here, even though the spray is coming in very true. And the praying is being done very well, as Zam finally, well, he does secure 1, but he's still got 3 more men to deal with, and he's all by himself here. This is a very dangerous move to kind of commit to it. He should just kind of back away. I mean, yeah, he's made his presence known, but hide, wait for a couple of respawns in. I mean, he's keeping 3 men back there while the rest of his team starts to work towards the B flag, so it's not bad in the end. But if he just goes down for this one, then what's it really going to be worth for him? Well, they're going to be able to pick up B, so it actually is worth it. It was worth it. That 1 death for the B flag is definitely a good trade here, so that was a good play by him.
It worked out well, but look at that. Straight away, we do see Elevate falling behind once again. Epsilon, they're very, very successful when it comes to these comebacks. They did falter a little bit. I mean, that was it was looking to be kind of a wham bam thank you man, but it did actually change as Elevate managed to hold on to that hold for a little longer than I'd expect, actually. I think maybe Epsilon slipped up there. They are back.
One thing we're seeing of Elevate, though, is that they're able to adapt right now. They're able to change things up. They're able to, take Epsilon down a lot lower than they were able to on that first map. And it's almost reminiscent of the first game we saw of them versus PKD a little bit earlier on. I mean, they're not doing a terrible job. This could have been so worse for them because they were down 60 tickets, and now it's only about 30 at this point, as it still kind of gets closer and closer together. When they're attacking flags, they're a lot more successful than they were against Planet Key Dynamics on on Zavod. But they're not maintaining it as long as they need to. That's the problem.
Hello, Trip Cap. As I think it was a full squad wipe. We did see Elevate. They've dropped into this random respawn, all into that upper right corner, and all Epsilon have to do is just let them have it. Horik, I know he's going to be hungry for this one, though. He really doesn't like to see people on his A site, and instead, he's going to get the pick. And is he going to back off? I don't think he is. He's like a rabid dog. He just wants to go for blood. Get to second as well. Cries are going down as well. And Epsilon, somehow, despite Elevate getting a 5-man spawn on that A flag, have managed to bring it back to flying the blue flag for Epsilon. I do not believe that was Elevate's chance. That was Elevate's chance to start it again, set the pace, get A, head towards that C flag, and instead it's just gone tumbling back down in favor of Epsilon.
It goes back to the whole containment thing. I mean, you mentioned before, Epsilon, they knew they were at the A flag. They just waited for them to take the flag, push out, and then just kill them. And they even get a 3-man kill over towards the B flag in the meantime here. So they're going to pick up, it looks like, a 56-ticket lead here at the end of the first half. And Epsilon are just playing, honestly, leaps and bounds beyond better than Elevate at this point.
Yeah, it's really being a tough kind of uphill struggle. Every time Elevate look like they've got a glimmer of hope. Every time they've got, hang on, guys, we've got a BC hold. We've got a 5-man squad up. Epsilon get picks that they shouldn't be able to do. And right now they're just kind of being picked apart. Outplayed is probably the word I should say. That right now, Elevate, as individuals, they're not shining as brightly as they should.
You hate yourself for that one, don't you?
I've said that word far too many times, guys.
If you want, we can make a game out of it. Every time you say it, I punch you.
Let's do that.
I'll be very quick to finally fix that.
Let's do that. Right. So this is going to be a game. If you hear me flinch, that's because I've just said shine. Shine. No, I was trying to think of a song.
You know, it started already, right? Like I could hit you for that one.
Oh no, the game starts when the second half starts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at this again. We had one man on the side of Elevate finish beyond 10 kills. 12-8 here for Laxer. But on the other side, just you had 3 men finish above 10. I think I saw 15-7 in there for Meg, I believe.
Yeah.
It comes down to like FPS 101. If you can't
kill people.
If you can't kill someone, then you can't win. I mean, obviously it wasn't all about aim. You know, positioning is a really big factor of it. When you're being shot from 3 different directions, it's kind of hard to pick up any kills. But Epsilon, they just kind of they know exactly how to play against Elevate. It took them a little bit of time. Like they had a big lead in the beginning, then they lost it because we saw Elevate finally change some things up. But then after that point, they kind of got control right back again. And you know, Elevate, I'm trying to think, what can they do differently? And
well, I mean, kill people would be
yeah,
one.
that's the problem. Like, strategy isn't a problem at this point. It kind of is a little bit of a problem for them because they're getting, you know, trapped in like this. They're not going for like some longer routes. Like what Planet Kino Next was doing against them on Dawnbreaker, sending Safe to go on these really long routes. They should maybe do something like that because then they will catch Epsilon off guard and then be able to pick up a couple of kills and then hopefully for them be able to maintain some 2-1 holds.
Yeah, they're doing some things right, but so very many things wrong. And one of them, of course, you know, you highlighted there was just not picking up the frags. It made me giggle just because, I mean, you're absolutely spot on, but it is it's such a key element to winning games is actually picking up the frags. And Elevate right now, they've met their match. Epsilon are probably 5 out of 5 the better players in every single matchup. You know, you've got Malcolm and Horek meeting at that A site quite a lot, and 9 times out of 10 we're seeing Horek come out the top of that one. And so it really is they're gonna have to do something different. They cannot rely on winning out on these frag battles. And right now we're seeing Duke just charging towards B. This is going to be a prime example of that, as he's going to be meeting his match actually as he does go down. Nice play from Toffee. That's the 1v1 that's actually been picked up by the Elevate members. And as we open up the tabletop, we can see the C flag has already gone over to Epsilon.
Rotated completely around all of them. Like he could have flanked them. He could have he went all the way around A and back towards B. He could have actually killed the 3-4 people that were attacking the B flag here, but unfortunately he didn't go for it. But he's still been a nuisance. He's still pushing towards the B flag. He gets taken down though, so he will be stopped. But it doesn't matter. A and C are maintained here of Epsilon. It looks like we will have Elevate finally go a little bit of push back towards C and pick it up. But if you think about how that game started, Elevate sent 4 men towards B. And it still took him that long to cap it over because Epsilon just kind of dragged it out. And if Epsilon maybe played a little bit differently, maybe if Horek did go for the flank, that would have been an easy trip cap for him.
Yeah, and we do actually see Elevate starting with that a BC hold, albeit we've seen it before, and albeit we have seen it be pretty short-lived in the past. But, you know, let's not hold that to them, or hold that against them, sorry, as we're going to jump into this one. We're seeing a bit of a change of guard. We're seeing 3 engineer classes. My eyes do not deceive me. 3 engineer classes from Elevate. We said they need to do something different. I think they're well aware of that as well. And instead, we're seeing this whole new change in classes. And we'll see if it's paying off for them. Right now it is. Tickets starting to slip away from Epsilon, but you have to consider 56 from that first half in favor of Epsilon is going to make it a real tough one for Elevate to overcome. Right now, though, they are losing that B site. That's not going to be ideal unless, of course, they can get that flexible rotate towards A. However, I do think we're seeing, you can see Horek right there lying in wait for anyone that considers pushing towards his precious A site.
Yeah, we do see actually 2 men with CZs on the side of Elevate and 1 with an ACW, so I was actually curious because I don't really hear a lot of explosions going off. No, so it's not it's not for the the opportunity to knock down walls. It's for the guns, for the close range quarter combat. I didn't say that right. The close quarter combat fights with obviously the very high attack rate here, and maybe that was a little change that they were looking for here. But either way, Epsilon they have B, they have A, they might have C here as we see. So the fight breaking off here as man going to be coming from the backside, does clean things up, does get the revives in as well. And last man in the squad for Malcolm, which was at B flag. It'd be a little bit lonely right now. Remember, guys, 56 tickets is that threshold here. If we do see Elevate drop below that, they will fall into the losers versus winners match, and we will have our first team coming out of Group A into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Epsilon want to get it done as quickly as possible. They're not looking like they're going to waver any sort of attention to detail right now. They're going to be giving it their all, and it looks to be working out pretty well for them, actually, as they're heading towards that potential trip cap. Marsu is the man that's going to be bringing it home. His teammates have jumped in on it as well as they do secure it. That's a trip cap. It's going to be rubbing salt into the wound of the kind of limping animal that it already is. I mean, look at Elevate. They're really not looking too strong at the moment. Very shaky play from them, albeit they did try something different. They got the SMGs out, but all it's done is meant they've died quicker and shorter range.
Right now, A and B are going to be maintained. And Elevate, I feel like there's just kind of a little bit of chaos going on within their columns because we're seeing them all spread out in different directions. And they're kind of not attacking. I mean, I can kind of understand that if you want to attack a flag, you want to attack it from multiple directions, but they're kind of spreading out to the point where they get in these 1v2s. And they unfortunately do die for that one, and it kind of obviously sets them back quite a bit here. But they're going to be able to pick up B. This is their chance to maintain the BC hold. This is their chance to finally take back some tickets out of Epsilon and kind of even things out a little bit. And even then, every once in a while, it looks like one man has overextended. He goes down for that one. It kind of makes the site a little bit weaker, and then Epsilon just kind of pounce on that like a dying or a bleeding animal, as you should say. Is there a stopping Epsilon right now? And I don't really think there is, at least within this group. They're one of the few teams who really put in as much practice time throughout the entire season as they normally would do. I know a lot of teams like Fnatic, they've been really kind of lax this season. I see Valo streaming Heroes of the Storm often, and it's finally paying off for them. They're looking strong, they're looking fantastic, and they're looking like they're going to take their first place out of Group A.
Yep, and practice does make perfect. There's no doubt about it. And right now, all they need to do is hold on to this. You've got to consider 56 tickets. Take that away from 78, and they are on scraps, running on fumes right now, Elevate, as they are looking to hold on to this for a little longer. B and C are in their grasp, but we'll see for how long, as now the B site has witnessed a bit of a brawl. Horek, the last man standing, as he puts a bullet into Toffee's brain. And is he going to have time for the revive? He is. Gets a full one as well. And we're going to see, as we reach that 5-minute mark, a trip cap emerge.
Now, this is the last move. This is the last chance for Elevate to come back in this one. They have 70 tickets. They can only work with about, 14 left to go here. Tri-cap, it's going to be obviously turned over here in just a second, but they need to cap another flag quickly. They have 10 tickets left to work with. They cannot afford to die anymore at this point, and they need this cap as quick as they possibly can. Toffee moved his way back in towards middle, and it looks like he will get taken down eventually here. And Epsilon, they're just holding on, and honestly, this should be it. This should be Epsilon advancing through. Last man of the squad is going to be Lagzer. He's going to go down from this, or it doesn't even matter if he goes down, because you know what? Just respawning in people will be too much. And this will be Epsilon advancing through. So congratulations to them. They're now obviously now into the playoffs, and Elevate are going to have a second chance here in just a little bit.
Wow, real credit to Epsilon there. They brought it when it mattered, and they didn't really seem to struggle too much with Elevate trying something new. I thought that was going to be an issue for them. We know how well Epsilon deal when they're playing against the same thing, the same game plan with their same strategy. They were throwing something different, and they dealt with it clinically, as they always seem to, as they brought Elevate back down to size. Fantastic work from Epsilon there. And Jason, I mean, that was such a clean sweep for Epsilon. We have to look forward now while we have a little bit of insight into how well Epsilon are playing. Who is going to be their big challenge? Those top three? I mean, after the top three of teams from the other groups, we do see GC, Fnatic, and obviously Epsilon. Those are the top three from the three groups.
I think Gamers Connection.
GC, that's going to be the big challenge.
They beat them twice in the finals throughout the cups.
It's true.
They're definitely they're not necessarily a breakout team because they've always been good.
Nemesis of them. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, they've always been a good team. They just really haven't. Wasn't last season. Yeah, last season they didn't play enough cups to actually qualify. They literally played one more cup and got 5 points. They would have been qualified into groups.
That's right.
And would have been able to make it through. They're definitely a strong team, and they've been proving it this season. I think they're definitely a team that's going to really challenge them coming into playoffs if GC do make it through. Fnatic as well, if Fnatic has been practicing, because they didn't practice pretty much at all throughout the cups, and they still did decently well. They did last season where they won every single cup and won the whole shebang.
They actually faltered. The first 2 cups, I believe, they had issues.
Yeah.
And even afterwards, they were struggling to get through that semi-final stage. But I mean, going into this, they've had some time since between these two, between the online cups and the group stages. I think it's possible they put some time and they know that the group stage, what the group stages mean. You know, we've seen what Epsilon have done with it. They've got that clean sweep, and now they can sit back, relax, and they're already through.
I wonder though if like, because
It's a confidence thing, I think.
well, the thing is like Fnatic, they got kind of burned out. You know,
because they
from
were
practicing so often and winning, everything.
Yeah, when you're at the top for so long and there's no one that's kind of immediately challenging you, you're going to start getting a bit lazy.
But the thing is, for Epsilon, like I'm worried, are they going to get burned out at the worst time? Because they haven't ever placed as far into tournament as they wanted to. Let's just say that.
Yes,
Into
okay.
the seasons. And they've been practicing at this intensity, I feel like, for the entire year. You know, eventually, if they kind of are dealt a bad hand again, maybe if there's another thing is that they're a very tilty team. Like if there's one server crash that happened that just completely threw them off and they just like gave up. I feel like one thing like that, if it happens in the playoffs, they're just shut down completely. And they put a lot of work in, but I don't think they've worked on the mentality of the team to kind of calm down. All right, yeah, it happened. It seems to always happen to us. Let's just refresh our minds and go back into this as strong as we should be. And
so it's the double M. It's momentum and mindset. That's why Epsilon need to go into the furthering the playoff stage. With
maybe
that in
they're
mind.
their greatest opponents.
Oh, getting deep with you this evening here at ESL TV, guys.
Yeah.
That brings that one to a close, though. We've got one more game to bring you this evening, so do stay tuned. And do be sure to share the link with your friends as well if you're enjoying it as much as we are. See you guys in 5.